The Type 3 submergence transport vehicle was a class of transport submarines built for the Imperial Japanese Army during the Second World War. The IJA planned to build over 400 boats, however only 38 boats were completed until the end of war. The IJA called the Maru Yu construction. In 1943 the IJA decided to build a transport submarine for themselves, because the IJA was soundly beaten in the Solomon Islands campaign and needed a way to supply the isolated garrisons on the Pacific Islands. Boats in classes. UI type. The class consists of 4 unofficial subclasses resulting from manufacturing differences among the contracted builders. The manufacturer may be discerned by the appearance of the sail. U-1 class. Basic model of UI type. First boat U-1 was prototype of the UI type boats. The Hitachi Kasado factory built all of the U-1 class boats. The sale was closed. U-1, laid down in February 1943, completed on the 31st of October 1943, lost in an accident at Lingayen Gulf on the 2nd of January 1945. U-2, sunk by us Pringle, Renshaw, Waller and Soufley at Ormik Bay on the 27th of November 1944. U-3, lost in an accident at Lingayen Gulf in January 1945, salvaged by us Grasp on the 18th of January 1945, carried out by us Rushmore in May 1945. U-4, survived war. U-5, survived war. U-6, have signed Detachment 2, Transport Submarine Group on the 13th of February 1945, survived war. U-7, have signed Detachment 2, Transport Submarine Group in November 1944, survived war. U-8, survived war. U-9, survived war. U-10, have signed Detachment Kuchinotsu, Transport Submarine Group on the 15th of May 1945, survived war. U-11, have signed Detachment Kuchinotsu, Transport Submarine Group on the 15th of May 1945, have signed Detachment Mikuria in June 1945, survived war. U-12, have signed Detachment Kuchinotsu, Transport Submarine Group on the 15th of May 1945, survived war. U-13, have signed Detachment Mikuria in June 1945, survived war. U-14, have signed Detachment Kuchinotsu, Transport Submarine Group on the 15th of May 1945, have signed Detachment Mikuria in June 1945, survived war. U-16, survived war. U-17, survived war. U-18, survived war. U-19, survived war. U-20, survived war. U-21, survived war. U-22, survived war. U-23, survived war. U-24, survived war. U-25, incomplete until the end of the war. U-1001 class. The Japan Steelworks Kita factory built all of the U-1001 class boats. They were equipped with an open-top sail. U-1001, launched on the 27th of March 1944, completed on the 15th of June 1944, have signed Detachment 2, Transport Submarine Group in November 1944, sunk by air raid at Shimoda on the 12th of August 1945. U-1002, have signed Detachment 2, Transport Submarine Group on the 11th of February 1945, survived war. U-1003, have signed Detachment 2, Transport Submarine Group on the 11th of February 1945, survived war. U-1005, have signed Detachment 2, Transport Submarine Group on the 13th of February 1945, survived war. U-1006 survived war. U-1007 Assigned Detachment Kuchinotsu Transport Submarine Group on 15 May 1945. Assigned Detachment Mikuria in June 1945. Survived war. U-1008 survived war. U-1009 survived war. U-1010 survived war. U-1011 incomplete until the end of the war. U-1012 incomplete until the end of the war. U-1013 incomplete until the end of the war. U-1014 incomplete until the end of the war. U-2001 class. The Ando Iron Works Tsukushima factory built all of the U-2001 class boats. First boat was the second prototype of the UI-type boats. They fitted a deckhouse route to the sail for improved crew comfort. U-2001 launched on the 12th of February 1944. Survived war. U-2002 launched on the 31st of March 1945. Survived war. U-2003 incomplete until the end of the war. U-2004 incomplete until the end of the war. U-2005 incomplete until the end of the war. U-2006 incomplete until the end of the war. U-3001 class. The Chosen Machinery Jinsen factory built all of the U-3001 class boats. U-3001 launched on the 10th of April 1944, completed on the 2nd of August 1944. Survived war. U-3002 sunk by rough weather in 1945. U-3003 survived war. U-3005 incomplete until the end of the war. U-3006 incomplete until the end of the war. U-3007 incomplete until the end of the war. U-3008 incomplete until the end of the war. U-3009 incomplete until the end of the war. U-3010 incomplete until the end of the war. U-2 type improved model of the UI type. U-2 was built by Camp on technical guidance. The IJN used the Ha-101 class submarine drawings and designed this Ushio prototype of the U-2 type, laid down in August 1944, launched on the 16th of May 1945, incomplete. Bibliography. Bagnasco, Erminio. Submarines of World War II. Annapolis, Maryland, Naval Institute Press. ISBN 0870219626. Carpenter, Orbian Palmer, Norman. Submarines of the Imperial Japanese Navy 1904–1945. London, Conway Maritime Press. ISBN 0851773966. Chesno, Roger, ed. Conway's All the World's Fighting Ships 1922–1946. Greenwich, UK. Conway Maritime Press. ISBN 0851771467. Rikishi Gunzo, History of Pacific War Extra. Perfect Guide. The Submarines of the Imperial Japanese Forces. Gakuen, Tokyo, Japan, 2005. ISBN 4-05-6038-902. Rikishi Gunzo, History of Pacific War Volume 45. Truth Histories of the Imperial Japanese Naval Vessels. Gakuen, Tokyo, Japan, 2004. ISBN 4-05-6034125. Ships of the World No. 506 Kaijinsha, Tokyo, Japan, 1996. The Maru Special, Japanese Naval Vessels No. 43 Japanese Submarines 3, Ushio Shobo, Tokyo, Japan, 1980. Atsumi Nakashima, Army Submarine Fleet, The Secret Project. The men challenged the deep-sea Shinjinbutsu Arisha, Tokyo, Japan, 2006, ISBN 4404034113X. 50-year history of the Japan Steel Works. Japan Steel Works, 1968.